You're an 85-year-old titan of literature, have been for a half-century now. You're Canada's best-known author, 64 books and counting. And increasingly, you find your work on lists of banned books, scrubbed from 135 American school districts. Yes, that includes your breakthrough work, the dystopian novel The Handmaid's Tale, but you've also been censored for work like The Testaments and The Blind Assassin, both of which won the Booker Prize, the top award for English language fiction. What to do? Sure, you take to the keyboard and write sternly worded opinion pieces, but if you're the indomitable Margaret Atwood, you don't stop there. Here she is taking a flamethrower to her own book. Atwood was firing back at would-be book burners by torching an unburnable edition. It was all promotion for a charity auction to benefit PEN America, a nonprofit that champions free speech. Atwood's books have been banned for content deemed overly sexual, morally corrupt, anti-Christian. She told us she was particularly peeved when a recent ban came from Edmonton, Alberta, in her own country.
The government put out an edict to all school boards saying that they couldn't have any books in the library that had either direct or indirect sex. What is indirect sex? You had any
Science fiction?
Indirect sex lately? Second wave feminism here.
Atwood speaks as she writes, with a mix of wisdom and deadpan wit. Last month, she invited us into her Toronto home. Do you know offhand how many languages your books have been translated in?
Well, we say over 50 for everything. How old are you? Over 50? How many books have you written? Over 50?
How many awards have you won?
Over 50.
I thought so.
Under his eye. Under his eye.
Published in 1985, The Handmaid's Tale depicts a near-future America overtaken by religious dictatorship, where a dwindling number of fertile women are forced to cloak themselves in red and bear children for the elite.
Give me children, or else I die.
The book would sell more than 10 million copies and spawn an Emmy-winning Hulu series. Beyond that, its scarlet costume would become a uniform of real-life protest and resistance.
Shame! Shame!
Handmaid's Tale is your magnum opus.
You think?
Your Great Gatsby. How are you with that?
Well, I would question the premise.
You what?
Yeah, it's not due to me or the excellence of the book. It's partly the twists and turns of history.
With the ongoing rollback of reproductive rights and the eventual overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022, The Handmaid's Tale began, for many readers, to feel eerily prescient.
Had it been so that none of this ever got enacted, then it would probably be sitting on a shelf somewhere and people would be saying, oh, jolly good yarn, but it didn't happen.
Or didn't it? In 2003's Oryx and Crake, for instance, Atwood wrote of environmental collapse and a global pandemic. Pick a catastrophe, any catastrophe. Before the real world did its thing, she warned about it in her fiction.
It wasn't, this is going to happen without a doubt. This could happen. This might happen, so you should be on the watch for it.
What is your relationship with this idea that you're the prophet of doom, this Cassandra, the forecaster of dystopia?
I think I'm very positive. I didn't kill everybody off at the end. Some people do. These are rare books, so a lot of them are pretty obscure.
If Atwood can see around corners, it's because her visions have historical precedent. They come rooted in actual events. At the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library in Toronto, Atwood has archived stacks of her research. That is the hundreds of news clippings that substantiate her plots. So this is folder upon folder of your research for Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, yeah, lots of it.
She writes by a strict rule. If it didn't happen somewhere at some time, it doesn't make it into the pages of her fiction.
Women forced to have babies.
Communists are making women have babies. Persistent non-pregnancy will be considered a crime against the state.
It's not all doom and gloom. Atwood showed us the cover she designed for her first volume of poetry. She writes short stories and children's books. For her new book, a new genre. Her memoir, Book of Lives, published this past week, takes the full sweep of her life, starting with a free-range childhood spent in the deep wilderness of Quebec. She was homeschooled until the age of 12 while her father did field work on insects as an entomologist. You wrote some families stop for ice cream on the side of the road. You stopped for infestations.
We stopped for infestations. So what was that like? You screeched to a halt. Father would get out of the car with his tarpaulin and his axe, and he would go to the infestation. He would spread the tarp out under the tree and hit the trunk with an axe, and then the things would fall out, and he would collect them.
And you're in the back seat thinking what?
Oh, no, we were usually out of the car watching him do it.
What did you learn watching him go to work?
I think probably growing up with the biologists makes you quite particular about details, because you're not saying that's a butterfly, you're saying what kind of butterfly, you're not saying that's a tree, you usually know what kind of tree. That's what draws people to reading.
Intent on spinning details into prose and becoming a writer, Atwood enrolled at Victoria College at the University of Toronto.
Well, poetry was the big form in Canada in the 60s.
A young poet, she hit the reading circuit and performed in student plays and reviews here at Hart House, one of Canada's oldest theaters.
I'm just a show-off.
And when Margaret Atwood wants to show off, you surrender the stage.
You have to stand over there. Hold my purse. Ready?
Here's not just any curtsy, but she informed us the 17th century Jacobean court curtsy she learned for a college production. We told you she's a stickler for detail.
How do I respond to that?
Oh, you bow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You remember that?
Why are you so surprised that I remember that?
Before we left the theater, Atwood showed us another party trick.
I'm not getting vibes. Okay.
You're not getting vibes from me?
No. We're doing the classic Renaissance hand reading.
Yes, she reads palms, another mode for investigation.
People might think that you're just a very reasonable, sort of rational person, but in fact you have this other, this intuition. So some people stop there, they're very logical, and that's it. You are not one of those people. And we can see that you will never be a murderous dictator, for which we are pleased.
I got that going for me.
Back to our protagonist, when she graduated in 1961, Canadian writers were encouraged to pursue careers outside the country. Give us a sense of the Canadian lit scene when you were in college.
What Canadian lit scene?
Still, Atwood stayed and helped found the country's now thriving literary institutions. Along the way, she met another writer, the late Graham Gibson, who would become her longtime partner. So quintessentially Canadian, their courtship peaked with a canoe trip.
We were both the kinds of people that if the canoe trip hadn't worked out, that would have been it.
Good barometer for a relationship.
Yeah, if you can deal with the canoe trip, you can probably deal with lots of other things, too.
And they did. Gibson came to the relationship with some baggage. A, quote, undivorced wife and 2 kids. In her memoir, Atwood confronts the complications of the blended family. Could I ask you to read a bit for us?
Yes. There are several letters in this book from me to my inner advice columnist. Everybody has one. Dear inner advice columnist, sorry to bother you.
Atwood uses the columnist device to confess that though she and Graham have a daughter of their own, she wants more children.
We are back at the farm after Scotland, and I've brought up the subject of a second child. I would like one, but Graham has said that a total of 3 is enough for him. I feel deprived, resentful, and disrespected.
If that sounds harsh, listen to the columnist's response, the advice she gave herself.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, count your blessings. Some people don't know when they're well off. Many would give the shirt off their back to have your luck in men. Suck it up. Cherish your child. Get another cat. Your inner advice columnist. You can see he's rather severe.
That's very get-over-yourself advice you gave yourself.
Very get-over-yourself advice, but Canadians are pretty get-over-yourself people.
The Handmaid's Tale!
Humility aside, Canada's leading literary figure has become something of a cult figure and a leading voice on all things Canadian. We asked her about the recent chill between her country and the United States as President Trump raises tariffs and threatens to turn our northern neighbors into a 51st state. Atwood says the Canadian response is best summed up by one phrase.
It's a hockey thing, and it was this character called Gordie Howe, who is a very revered hockey player. And elbows up is when somebody gets you into the corner and you block them by putting your elbow up. And it means, don't mess with me. And for those who speak of the 51st state, I do point out that it wouldn't be just one state.
What do you mean?
It's very big. You can't make the whole thing just one state. And anyway, Quebec would never stand for it. You think you're going to make them part of a unilingual big entity? Think again.
Atwood is a student of government, power, and the overreaches of both. She wrote much of The Handmaid's Tale on a rented typewriter in 1984 West Berlin. She recalls hearing sonic booms from the other side of the wall. In her ventures to the Eastern Bloc, she witnessed policing, paranoia, and the absence of freedom. In her memoir, too, she addresses the erosion of democracy. You say the overriding ordinary civil liberties is one of the signposts on the road to dictatorship. Do you see the U.S. on that road right now?
I don't think I would be wrong if I said it's concerning. There are certain things that totalitarian coups always do.
Like what?
One of them is trying to get control of the media. But the other thing is making the judicial arm part of the executive. In other words, judges just do what the chief guide tells them to.
If you're saying the signposts, the signifiers of totalitarian society are...
There's some warning lights flashing for sure.
Amid the warning lights, a series based on the Testaments, her sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, will begin streaming on Hulu next year. But just when you think you can predict on which side of the political divide Atwood falls, she confounds by saying something like this.
Just for the record, I've always been attacked more from the left than I have from the right.
Why's that?
Well, I think the right thinks I'm irrelevant. And the left thinks that I should have been preaching their sermon, whatever it may happen to be, and that I am therefore a traitor for not having done that which they themselves would do.
And what's your response to that?
It's unprintable. It involves a finger. Do I see a little blush? Do I see a little bit of a blush?
She may turn us red. She did not turn us to stone. I'm paraphrasing here, but in your memoir, you say you sometimes cut this Medusa-like figure with a Medusa-like stare with interviewers. I feel like we're doing okay.
The earlier me.
Yeah.
The earlier me. Now I'm a nice old lady, so you don't have to be worried.
Why the pivot?
I got older. I became a blonde.
This was my way of saying I enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, is that your way of saying it? So why aren't you a scary old witch? Is that your way of saying it?
What inspired the signature red cloaks from The Handmaid's Tale?
Yes, well, if you have a cult, you have to have outfits.
At 60minutesovertime.com.